Hello everybody, welcome back to Ghostly French Toast, and this weekend it could have been a big weekend for Elden Ring fans, Dark Souls fans. I don't know if you heard of a little game called Night Rain, and you know your guys played Night Rain. So, and also I'd like to apologize for the accidental stream that I did of Night Rain. I didn't know what I was doing. It was literally my background, so my bad broski, my bad. So enough talking around. I need to talk about my opinions about this game. As a Soulsborne content creator, I should talk about this. So overall, because I feel like talking about my overall opinions, then talking about why. I think that's an interesting way to do this. It's a fun roguelike. As someone who enjoys roguelikes, I'm a big Dead Cells guy. If you're here for a long time, nothing happened when I made those Let's Play videos. Never talk about those ever again. It's probably one of the best made roguelikes. I've done a lot of roguelikes. I've Skull's really good. Dead Cells, I need to play Risk of Rain. That's what I need to do. But I'm a big roguelike guy, and this is, I think, one of the most creative and probably one of the best made roguelikes. And I feel like that's saying not much. I think Returnal is one of the better roguelikes I've played. And if we're talking like AAA status, this is better than Returnal. And of course, it's just a little demo, but the idea is really good. And this is a 6-month-old demo. This is old. So I'm always taking this with a grain of salt. A lot can happen in 6 months. Look at the Elden Ring demo, then look at Elden Ring. Character selection is really good. So I think one of the biggest things that people were kind of afraid of when coming into this game was character selection. Not having the ability to customize your character, your loadout, your like classes. And as someone who's played many roguelikes, that's one of the big staples of roguelikes, where it wasn't the character selection. You would make your own build throughout the game, and you can do that, but the character selection is such a good idea, and having set skills, it's a refreshing take that I'm glad Elden Ring decided to risk, because it's a big risk. And this entire game's a big risk, because to be honest, I don't think many people are going to like this game. I love this game. It's for the, I think, actual fans who enjoyed the combat, and that sounds very gatekeepy. But let me be honest, I have friends who tried Elden Ring, because everyone tried Elden Ring. Elden Ring's a really fucking good game. But Night Rain isn't Elden Ring. It's nothing From Software's ever done. It's like Sekiro and Armored Core. It's a middle-of-the-road game. But I also have a theory about their next game, because there was leaks a while ago that they're working on a big magic game. And when we talk about the characters, you're going to see one of the characters has a very interesting magic ability. Characters. Speak of the devil, what can I say? I'm a genius. Recluse. I've did a couple playthroughs of each. The Recluse completely fixes all the problem with magic, i.e. point and click. So I think the biggest takeaway from this was me remembering a while ago about From Software leaks, about they're working on a big magic game. That's their next big focus. And the Recluse fixes everything that I was concerned about if hypothetically they did make a game. The Recluse reinvents the formula of magic. Yes, you have the point and click, but the magic cocktail is such a good idea and allows so much flexibility for mages, and it just makes the game fun. I think it's one of the best character. It's not like objectively the best. We'll talk about the best, but it's very good. So if those leaks are true, because Elden Ring, Sekiro was one of the biggest things, because Sekiro is the game before Elden Ring that they made, and Sekiro's big thing compared to Dark Souls, and you can say the combat, whatever. I think the big thing was the movement. The movement of Sekiro was really fucking good. And then Armored Core, this is different, but you can still see the similarities of Armored Core. Armored Core, it's basically you go into a mission roguelike. It is technically a sort of roguelike. So I think each game before is a test to see if this concept works. And I think the biggest thing with Night Rain is the kicks of the characters. So I think that's something to take note of. You have Sekiro with combat, or the Sekiro with the movement. You have jumping, you have sprinting, you have all that. And look at Elden Ring. It basically reinvented Elden Ring's level design. Wilder, the grapple is great. It's sometimes unreliable, but I think the best way of doing it is always running. So with the new game, you're able to run very fast. And having that ability so when you're running and you grapple to the side. And I think that's a really cool concept. Ult feels good, as it's a big cannon. It's literally the stake driver. You're literally pile bunkering the centipede demon, if you will. Bro is getting sent back to Dark Souls 1. The Guardian, my favorite class, feels the most impactful for the team. And that's something I really, really hope in that the next 4 characters, because there's 4 more, really work on. So the ult is probably the best thing in the game. I really enjoy. You can revive and teammates, all that. It's a very good. It's passive. It's a very good synergizing build. And of course, you can't have all characters synergize with one another. But I'm really hoping that there's non-tanks that like synergize, like a healer, whatever that focuses that. Duchess, good for bleed and all that. Ult is very situational. It's really good in boss fights, but just in the random field, you're not gonna really need that. The ult is the most busted things From Software has done in a while. So what it does is it's basically a little stopwatch, and any enemy that you hit with that stopwatch pauses in time for 2 seconds, and those 2 seconds that you get, all the damage is doubled again. So imagine when you stagger an enemy in Night Rain, you can still attack that enemy. Other teammates can attack that enemy for 2 fucking seconds. That is absurd. Shocked that all classes are this good. I love all the classes. I don't really have a problem with anyone. The only one I could say is the Duchess. The Duchess ult's very situational, and well, the Recluse's ult is not the best. It's very person oriented, but if your teammates can work with you, that's your best thing. And iframes on ult was one of the biggest things I didn't think I needed. Such a great concept, and it sounds dumb, but it's such a great thing to have. It makes it less risky. It makes things feel so much faster. Level design. Copy and paste from Elden Ring. I've seen a lot of complaints about that. Personally, I don't mind it. I think having that familiarity helps this game a lot, because the entire point of the game is you're speed running through each level. You're trying to go as fast as you can, and having that familiarity of copying and paste Castle Height or Fort Height is such a good thing where people are familiar with that. There's familiar level design, familiar bosses, and I think that's a great thing. I'm going to talk about bosses next, but you take some and you leave some. But having familiar aspects is very good for the players to basically speed run through it and make sure they hit everything. And Elden Ring's their most recent game. Of course, I hope like there's some Irithel stuff, like some older game stuff. I think that would be really cool to refresh it a little bit. But having that architecture is a very good thing, I think. And people are complaining like, oh, it's just Elden Ring again. It's Fortnite Elden Ring. It's not Fortnite Elden Ring. I think having that there is intentional. The familiarity of it. And I think that's the big thing where you have familiar weapons, whatever, or weapons you probably haven't used. You probably use like 5 weapons in your entire playthrough out of the 400. So I think that's a very interesting thing to take note of. As it says, it helps people exploring more. Familiar level design, familiar aspects help people know like, I've been through Limgrave before. I know what I'm doing. Hopefully there are different types of environment. I know in the trailer we've already seen some. So my personal little theory is each Night Lord has a different environment, where it's still going to be randomized, the generation, whatever, but it's going to have different environments. So there's 8 Night Lords, so I think it's going to be an interesting thing. Boss selection. Here's my biggest thing right now, but it's also because we're playing a fixed demo. Love the new Morgott and Draconic Tree Sentinel. That is how you bring back bosses right. Morgott's basically feels like the best boss. If this boss was an Elden Ring, Morgott would be the best boss right now. Morgott's aggression got tuned, and Morgott just being a King Bon in Elden Ring is fucking crazy. Draconic Tree Sentinel is an actually enjoyable fight. I think making it a bigger fight was what it needed. It was a very bad solo fight, but having different abilities where it summons steeds, all that, it's very interesting. Open world bosses are mid because they're just enemies from Elden Ring. And I get that they're trying to, as said, with the familiarity, it's everyone's first time playing through the game, so they probably put Elden Ring bosses like that in the game. It's just a really bad boss selection. I don't want to fight like 4 Duprey Premiers, bro. The fuck are they? What the fuck are they on about? Gladix, the Night Lord, awesome fight, very well balanced. And people are dogging on him like, oh, he's the new. No, he's fucking not. It's because you've never fucking played him before. Gladix is not hard. He's hard, but he's not that hard. If you know what you're doing, it's not bad. And I think he's a very good intro boss. And I like how it's balanced with 3 people. I'm hoping when he do solo play, he doesn't split up as much. Like, he can split up because that's an important boss of his fight. But I hope he doesn't split up as much as he does with 3 people. Hopes and wants. More variety, older boss weapons. Imagine you whip out Freya's Scythe, you whip out Demon Scar, or you whip out Ivory Knight's Greatsword. That would be just an interesting thing to have legendary weapons like that. So instead of, because one of the big complaints is a lot of people are like, it's copy and paste Elden Ring. From Software has probably the ultimate catalog of just stuff. Sekiro stuff can get ported over. You have Bloodborne stuff that can get ported over into Elden Ring. People have done it before. You can do it again. New stuff. Don't make it just the final bosses, because the biggest things right now is new attacks from regular night bosses and bosses from the Night Lords, which that's cool, but there should be enemy variety, new stuff, new weapons, whatever, new Ashes of War. You are playing with such an interesting concept, and I think From Software needs to take advantage of its full catalog while also expanding on that catalog, or just reinventing it, like how it did with the characters. The characters reinvented everything, and I think this could be their most adventurous game ever, but it's not going to capitalize as much as Elden Ring has. More expensive stuff like the class recluses, like I said. Better networks. Oh my god. First day, I got it at like 3 a.m. for the network test, and I couldn't get in. I wanted to kill myself. But better networks is a very big thing. From Software has very struggled for years. Multiplayer games, networks are absolutely horrendous. They need to work on this. And I know this was the entire point of the test, but it couldn't handle it the first day. And they need to fix this. If they really want to have a multiplayer game like this, they need to fix it. But yeah, that's it for this time. I'll see you next time on Ghostly French Toast. Bye-bye.